We're ready for you, Chris.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call vote, or roll call, sorry. Are you ready?
Barkle.
Here.
Loest.
Here.
Kettering.
Here.
Hummel.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Welsh.
Here.
Clark. He didn't call in, did he?
No, not yet.
I don't know why.
Unless this is on Do Not Disturb again. Yes, it is. No, it's not.
Magic.
Hi, Dan. Yep, good. We had you on Do Not Disturb for some reason.
I was about ready to text somebody.
All right, Dan is here.
Yes.
All right. Everybody had a chance to go over the previous meeting's minutes. Unless there's any changes, I need a motion to approve.
So moved. Loest.
Second, Hummel.
All right, items to be added to the agenda.
Need to take a vote on the minutes.
Oh yeah, sorry. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Items to be added to the agenda. I guess I have one item. I just wanted to have a discussion on future zoning issues, bring up at next couple meetings. Anything else? All right, then I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. I'll second it.
Was that you, Sam?
No, it's Mike.
Mike, sorry.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carried. We can go around the room with conflict of interest declarations. Start with Sherry.
Loest. None.
Kettering, none.
Welch, none.
Barkle, none.
Hummel, none.
Nelson, none.
Clark, none.
Right. I guess for the added agenda item, put it at the end, so just start with the plats.
We only have two plats. They're both very simple. First one is a homestead plat, farmstead plat. Mr. Black owns this piece. He is surveying off this farmstead with 18 acres. So it includes all the trees and all the buildings. This is what it looks like in the scope of the big parcel. So it still almost meets the 20, but it meets the farmstead ordinance exception.
Seems pretty straightforward.
Yes.
I'll move approval of the plat. Second.
All right, we can vote when you're ready.
Barkle.
Yes.
Loest.
Yes.
Kettering.
Yes.
Hummel.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Welsh.
Yes.
Clark.
Yeah.
All right, and we're on to the Kabizman plat.
So Mr. Kabizman owns this entire piece as part of a divorce settlement. He is separating off 20 acres back here. So both pieces are conforming. The person that owns this property is purchasing this property, the party he's planning on. So they have access through their property. And I can show you what the plat looks like. Oops, right there. I think they just followed, there's a fence line back here that they followed. So they're both conforming.
And since the new owner is going to have access, there doesn't have to be any easements or anything.
Correct. Now, if he were to try to sell it,
He'd
of
have-
course, Mr. Kabizman has first right of refusal, but if he would try to sell it to someone else, then he would have to create an easement to access the property.
Move approval, Loest.
Can I get a second?
Second. Hummel.
All right, vote when you're ready.
Barkle,
Yes.
Loest,
Yes.
Kettering,
Yes.
Hummel,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Welsh,
Yes.
Clark.
yes,
So I guess, for the discussion on future zoning issues, I think since this time of year, we're pretty low on topics. We got some time to work at these meetings. Some of the things that have been brought up recently is lot sizes and setbacks across all the different zoning districts, specifically like ag zone district and some of the residential districts. So I think that's something that we should be prepared to talk about next time, if you wanna review those things, lot sizes and setbacks. And then some of the other issues I think is worth thinking about, would be different zoning ordinances as far as if there's anything in the ordinance that needs to be majorly updated and overhauled, like the wind and adding the solar was. Specifically, I'm thinking of like the pipeline deal, whether we need to recommend a moratorium on those type of things, so we're not in the same situation as the wind ordinance was. And then if there's any other issues, I would like to get those on the agenda for next time. If you guys think of them, let Bill or Gary know, so we can get it added. That way, if we want to make any type of recommendation or vote or anything, then we at least have it notified on the agenda.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is a good time because as of now, we have nothing planned for next meeting. So you should be able to take a lot of time and not go too late and still get a lot accomplished, so. I'll just put as a general on the agenda and then as you come up with topics, send them to me or articles and I'll add it in.
The commission has been studying the lot sizes, and so that progress, there is some progress there that we could build on. I guess our idea was to come up with a plan and then come back to see what needed to be added from the planning and zoning point of view, but however you want it. I think most of our discussion is, what is it, Gary, get down to 2 acres in ag areas?
Yeah, there has been some discussion on, at least on the R1s, going down to a smaller size, probably putting R2 and R3 at the minimums that are already in the ordinance, not 1 acre or 40,000. It doesn't make sense to necessarily have both of them. So there has been some things like that. I know it was even brought up, maybe this would be a time that we would require political signs to be up X amount of days, like the city before the election. Right now, we don't have anything, so that was one of the comments that was made also. But there definitely are some things we can look at, like Don said. We've been kind of talking to the banking community and to realtors and things, and I think we're just kind of waiting on to see what kind of feedback we'd get from them, which hasn't been much to date, but before they moved forward. But we knew that probably at least by the beginning of the year that we would start having those discussions. We haven't really talked about moving forward on the pipeline. I don't know if the hesitation has been that they're kind of waiting to see what state legislature does this time, but we can certainly have that discussion also.
I think the pipeline is a critical one that we need to make sure we don't get wrapped up in the deal like the wind energy
Mhm.
deal. I would say that, although when I challenged them, they were reluctant to admit it, but the city is not overly pleased with us decreasing lot sizes
Decreasing lot sizes on what?
for houses.
Oh, because it drives residents out of the city or what?
You have to ask them.
Still have to work with BY Water, so.
Well, then
That's
that's
the
the other,
challenge.
that was the other thing I was thinking about too with, these different things, especially like encouraging development in like the different residential districts. It seems like biggest holdup is water, at least that's what we keep hearing. Would it be beneficial to have a meeting where we could get somebody from BY Water to come and talk with us, or?
We've tried that a couple times already and with no luck basically, but.
And then would it be worth, having some local developers or something come in and talk to us about what other things from a zoning standpoint that would be beneficial for encouraging growth out in the different districts, or is there not really much?
Well, just
benefit
in
or anything?
talking with them when they do building permit applications, the lot sizes is probably the biggest factor to allow more housing development in the county. 2 acre lots, 1 acre lots that are feasible for people to buy and still build a house. 5 acres is a stretch, because by the time you pay for the 5 acres, you got a chunk of money into it. The ones, well, like Drotzman, you just have to go through the paperwork with BY, and that's, I think, what stops some of them. You gotta jump through their hoops, but Drotzman got signed up, and, I think, the one that is going next week for final vote, I think they've talked to BY Water. So, I think they just have to follow the process, and it shouldn't be a problem. East of town's another story. They don't just have the capacity. But out by the lake area, I think they can make it work.
So is BY service east of Yankton too?
There is some, but it's limited, and there've been a couple of people trying to add a house east of town, and they just don't have the capacity to add to it. One time they were talking about putting a tank just east of the city limits, but they can't find a good location to do that for more storage. But west of town, they seem to be fine.
Is it something where BY would be able to, I mean, you're talking about like supply issues and stuff, it'd be beneficial in my mind to have them come here, be able to show us on a map like, yes, in this area we've got the capacity for growth, and in this area we don't. Would make our job from a zoning standpoint a little
Yeah.
easier, I think, but.
It would, but like, as Gary mentioned, we've asked for conversation. They just tell you, here's our procedure, fill it out, and
We can't even get maps from
Yeah.
GIS layers.
Is there a reason for that?
Yes,
What
What's
is
the
it?
reason?
their manager.
But back to your original question, the number one issue we've heard from developers is lot size. If there were smaller parcels out, they could be developed, and
What would probably help them is if we went into housing areas where, like Drotzman did, this other guy is doing. Because then they can get more, to put in a mile of pipe to serve somebody, they'll never get their money back.
Person doesn't want to pay the upfront cost either, so.
Pardon?
Well, if you tell me it's $10,000 to hook up to my water, that does change my decision on where to build. Or if you tell me it's $30,000, right, and so versus housing development or housing areas, like you said, oh, everyone can get a tap for $5,000, or when I'm building a $500,000 home, I can eat that, that's not as bad. So I agree. Do we have like a water commission together or anything like that? Cause like I know like Gayville, right, they're at capacity with their tower, or they're like right there, only a couple more places, and maybe worth getting some of the townships together and,
I know some of the guys out there. I'll go, if it's all right with Gary and Bill, I'd go and talk to them and say, hey, look, we wanna know what your limitations and what your expectations are. We're not asking you to build or change anything, we'd like to know, understand.
Yeah, I think it'd be beneficial if we could get them to the meeting to
Then
talk
we-
about it, but.
We'd probably, it'd be a bad deal if we ripped a hole in them.
yeah, I think we all need to understand what that looks like though, because, I mean, this area is growing at least a little bit, or people are building, so there's that, and we wanna make sure we can support it moving forward, so.
So like I said, if there's anything specific districts, we should let the guys know so we can get it on the agenda for next time.
Have you talked to Mike Munner, or just,
Gary's the one that spoke to, who did you speak to at BY about trying to set up an appointment or meeting?
For water, Terry.
Oh, Terry,
Terry Wooden?
Wooden, yeah,
yeah,
Wooden, yep.
he's pretty conservative. He's gonna take any chances.
Well, they want you to go through the engineering process, that's the biggest thing. And they gotta know, are you talking 5 houses, 40 houses, what are you doing? So,
Discussion with, Mr. Drotzman might not be a bad idea. He went through the process, he may have some insight as to what they told him is available in the future, or something to that effect.
Well, as a person that could be drastically affected by Mr. Drotzman's development, I doubt that they have enough water to serve the 30 lots that he's got. Because right now, there's times when the water in the houses on our road is very, 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 very low. And that 30 houses will all be in front of the 6 on our road, or 5 on our road. But that's the way it is.
So who services further east in our county then? The Clay Water District or All in Well?
My farm is BY Water.
Okay.
I'm about a mile east of the Budweiser warehouse and a little south.
Yeah.
I don't know how far BY Water goes that way, but I have Clay Union Electric.
Okay.
So it's getting close to that, where it switches over.
I was just wondering where they dipped into our county. I mean, 'cause they built a really nice water plant there a couple years ago, so, I mean, they have plenty of lift, they should. So.
Yep. You're talking about Clay County.
Yeah, Clay County.
Yeah, maybe that's the key east of town, is find out where BY Water's done and see if they can cross over.
I don't know if there's any agreements in place with BY for a service area or anything like that either, but we may wanna.
You'd probably be better off going to Clay County and asking them where their boundary is.
So yeah, they gave us a tour during college and they were all about showing us what that whole setup was about, so,
BY,
no.
Clay Union.
Clay's
Clay,
Water.
I mean, we all went there for one of our operations class, I don't know if you took the class, Chris, but yeah, we all went there for our operations class and learned all about how big of a business water was and how much storage and like lift was required and all sorts of stuff, and so I'm just wondering if they do hit some of the leg of our county too, I just don't know what they do, I guess. And if maybe that relationship with them is something that's worth fostering, for some growth during in the east. I mean, we all know the new flood maps and stuff like that, that may change, but yeah, I don't know if we wanna call it like a water thing or something like that. I'm pretty into that, so.
Sam wants to be in charge.
I don't wanna be in charge, but I just know a couple of years ago, Gable was talking about adding some lots. And I was pretty excited, cause I was like, well shit, if I can buy a lot in Gable and build something, I'll be just fine. And then they were like, oh, we don't have enough water.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, okay. And they're like, yeah, we kept our costs so low that we don't have any money to even like expand or purchase more capacity. And so then all the residents were like, oh, now, so this town's basically dead in the water unless there's a big influx of cash or something. And I wonder how many other places are like that. I mean, where's Utica sitting for capacity?
They were worried too, when we wanted to add like 6 lots to the south, and they were concerned.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that's something we should, as a group, kind of hear from every
Every one of them towns.
every kind of area, so we know where the challenges are, and I don't know if it's an overstep for us or not, I guess, I don't know.
So unless people request it to be like rezoned, we can't really go and start redrawn on the map. We think this should be a residential district or anything like
I
that.
don't believe so.
Yeah, generally there has to be a request before you have to make changes.
So we can leverage, like, what is it, the TRD or whatever for our next so many years of growth at least.
And there's already the comprehensive plan, and
Yeah.
zoning ordinance out, zoning map out there, so.
See, BY's got some of the same challenges that everybody's got. Most of their funds come from the federal government, and there's requirements there. They can only build a capacity to meet so many users, and they have to be signed up. I think they can go 10%. When I was on their board, you could go 10% over what you had signed up for the pipe size to come in. Well, if you're in any kind of area at all, 10% is, I mean, Mrs. The feedlot along the highway on 52,
Oh.
on 50.
Yankton livestock?
No, he hadn't had any cattle in there. Barb Law,
Jerry Law or John Law's?
John Law. They were wondering whether they'd have enough water to water their cattle, and they'd had a feedlot there for years. But when his dad died, he closed, didn't bring cattle in. Now he's got cattle there. But, you know, that all comes into the capacity thing, and if they can only go 10% over what they got signed up for, that's the problem. And there's hundreds of users in the 2-county area. They're not excited about increasing their water usage bill so that BY can build new lines to add houses for city guys, you know.
Do they have treating capacity though?
Yeah,
So they have capacity to grow
Yeah.
into for treating,
yeah,
okay.
they did then. I'm sure they still do. I mean, they draw out of the Missouri River.
Yeah, I
So-
guess water task force would be cool, I guess.
Is well water out of the question? I mean,
It's expensive. Dig
It's
it.
expensive. Some places it's quite a ways down. Some places it's just so high in minerals that to get it pure, it's gonna be a challenge. But There are people that still do it.
That's the way it's done in the Sioux City area. Sioux City, Lamar's, Warden, that whole area. Most of those houses out in the country have well water.
They're all in an old riverbed, so they're pretty,
They do have issues, you know, because of the nitrates in the water. And they have issues with the minerals, the iron especially.
So east of town, that would be a possible solution because there are some water sources that aren't terribly deep.
Yeah,
And there's a big aquifer and some springs. But again, the iron levels are just so high, it would take a lot to get them clean.
yeah.
I think west of town and north, some of those places you'd have to go down a long ways before you could find water, if you could find water.
At our farm up north by Aberdeen, we had to go down 1,500 feet to get water.
Jeez. Yeah,
I think that'd be really good.
Make your hair stand on end
yeah,
when you drank it too.
yeah.
Artesian.
Now I know why you ended up how you did. All that well water.
Yeah. I think those, Chris, those would be great subjects to get involved in and do some research and get some parameters set up.
I don't know if it falls under us either, but there is, that primitive trail that runs basically the old railroad bed to Fleegs, and there's that county-owned land out there. What is it, like 8 acres, Bill? Right across from Fleegs?
That's county owned
Yeah, I think that's county land.
in Wildwood Development?
Yeah,
I know there's one parcel in there, but I didn't know it was 8 acres.
yeah.
But-
There's been talks over the years to try and turn that into like a primitive use campground or a day use campground, and I don't know if from what I understand, I don't know if we have any zoning to support that use on our own land or how that would work.
Well, we'd have to change some of the zoning, because for a campground, it has to have 5 acres and it has to go through the process. The problem with that lot, if it's in the Wildwood, is that's now in the floodway. So any dirt work has to have a no-rise certificate.
Okay.
So if you're moving any dirt or anything like that, you have to go through an engineering study.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were looking at, like a primitive, like what you
Yeah.
see. And I rode my bicycle across Iowa one time, and there was a whole bunch of primitive campgrounds that you know, city or county maintain. There's nothing there, just a spot. And they talked about that, I don't know, 10 years ago when I was, you know, around here. And we all thought it was a really good idea because we all catfished over there at the time and set our tents up anyway. But we thought maybe that would be, I don't know, like I said, reading our zoning, I don't know how we would work that in or.
Yeah, I think the other issue would be when you set something like that up, if it's not supervised, how many people are gonna make it their
Yeah.
home?
That's the thing, is the sheriff's office would need to probably be involved, and there may be some dirt work, just to add some lighting and some safety features, right? So, I know that's something that's been discussed in the past, and I don't know if we have other land like that in the county that has some sort of valuable use, but our zoning ordinance doesn't allow us to convert it to a use that benefits the public or something. Not saying a primitive campground is a solution, right? Like, but I don't know what other stuff we own that we could do something like that with. Gary, you have any ideas?
There's some small areas on the rivers and stuff that they've talked about possibly making into parking lots at least, or something for people to go fishing and things and have a place to, put their boat in or something. But we don't have a lot of big lots.
And maybe we need to do an assessment at some of the county-owned land to see if we have zoning ordinances to support it being turned into something that benefits the people. Cause I don't even know what the county owns from an inventory standpoint, really.
I don't think they own a lot.
I don't think so either. I think it's, like you said, very small pieces and parts of that river access program and stuff like that.
We should be able to get that information from
Beacon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Never looked at it, never had a reason to look at it or even really care about it, but maybe something to look at.
I can create a list.
Okay.
Anything else anybody wants to discuss?
trailer parks.
Revamping the zoning on those, or what?
There are a lot of happy people around when you're gonna bring that subject up.
So Don, I mean, what's the number one priority for the county commissioners? I mean, if we made a list, right, I just don't want us to run down a rabbit hole and it's not something that would really help or benefit, you know, your team right now.
We've been trying to address affordable housing, and about the only avenue that we have on that is maybe if lot size, if you could get it down there. You know, if you're thinking $20,000 an acre, you take 3 acres off, it helps somebody build a house if they wanna build one. Then on the other side of that picture is, we have our farm families that don't wanna have to farm around a 1 acre house and chemicals and everything, and there's a lot of issues out. But I think affordable housing is probably an issue. And that was our issue on land. I think the pipeline thing is not gonna go away. If the ethanol plants go away, I'm told we'll probably be looking at significantly lower corn prices. And they need the pipeline to make profit.
Alright, well, unless there's any other thoughts, move on. We can, like I said, send an email or call or stop by or whatever and get it on the agenda if there's something specific. I'll be adding some stuff, so. With that, I guess, public comment. Seeing none, need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, Loest.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Alright, we are adjourned.
All right, good night, everyone.
Night.
Night, Dan.